Okay, so in this video, here are some of the things that I think you should know about the Boss GX100 before you buy one, or things that you should know about this in general. So, first of all, we have these kind of two main sort of gigging views. If we press memory manual, we go to this kind of manual mode, preset mode, and here we're kind of switching between presets. If we hold this in again, we can switch between kind of bank presets and stuff, and also turn on or off pedals within the preset, as well as you could set multiple things to be on one switch. So that's fine. So it's not inflexible, if that makes sense. Now what I want to show you is if we go right initialize on someone else's, let's try on here, execute right, okay. So we're starting from scratch here. So this is what you get from scratch, I think. So the way that things are being set up by default is you've got this kind of switching between two paths here. So at the top you've got the natural kind of clean. Bottom you've got a higher gain. Okay, so here's something I think you should know, which I think is quite useful. So say you've got here, if I go into effects and press this one, I'm going to change this for an overdrive, execute and overwrite. So here now I've got an OD1. If I go into Control EXP assign settings, I can turn these switches into doing different things. So you see at the moment manual 2 is switching on or off chorus, manual 3 is switching on or off delay, okay. Then so we've got manual 1 here, which is free. So what I'm going to do, push select, yeah. Then source is manual 1, and then category, I'm going to take it to overdrive, and parameter, you see if we change this to type, now I can go across, I can actually change the type of overdrive between button switches. So OD1 on the one of them, and then I could have, let's have something fairly different, something like a tube screamer. That's not what I want. Tube screamer, where did you go? Okay, and now you should see that when I press manual 1, changes from tube screamer to OD1. And now I can do that same thing again if, for instance, I wanted to change the drive. So got number 1 is the overdrive, if we also add another assign here, so I'm going to add this one here will be manual 1 again, I think, if I can get that to do that. Manual 1, activate it, mode, what can we have? Toggle moment, we want toggle. Category, we want overdrive, parameter on or off. What we could do is change the settings of each parameter, so we could have drive and tone. So minimum, I could have the drive, I don't know, 60 or something like that, then maximum 120. So now our OD1 would have less gain and our tube screen would have more. And I think you can do this across kind of most of our blocks. So for instance, delay, you can do the same thing. So, okay, we can't do it on that one for some reason. So it doesn't work with all of them. Maybe it needs to be delay plus or something. Right, effects. Delete. Okay, now let's find a delay plus. If we put that here, so delay plus, because it's got type there, can definitely do this. Right, now back into assign. Actually, I think you can press these to get to there quicker. So category, where are you? Delay plus, parameter on or off or type. Then we could have our minimum be dual and our max be reverse. And that would do this. I think you also have to press it to get it to do this. Where have you gone? Oh, I haven't activated it, so press on this one to activate. And it's like sending MIDI messages. So now we've got dual. So if I press right, we'll write this. You've got like two reverb settings there, delay settings, sorry. Now obviously, if you're switching types, you can't preserve the tails, so you'd be, you know, conscious of that whilst you're building these presets, but it's quite a powerful thing, sort of similar to scenes within Fractal, so or channels, scenes and channels. So within Fractal, if you change scenes, you can change the model within a block, essentially, so you have different channels within the same block. So that's, I think, something you should know. Another thing you might want to know is that some of these parameters to me don't necessarily correspond. So like drive going up to 120 to me is a bit of an odd mathematical choice versus, you know, typically I think we see parameters go up to 100. Or, you know, if it was to be compatible with just MIDI stuff, you'd set it to be between 0 and 127. This 120 number is to me a little bit strange. All in all, I don't think that's a huge thing to be worried about. So this delay again, you could, so we've got manual 2, you could also add different assigns. We can have 20 of these. So within that delay change, what we could do, if we change this to manual 2 as our source, then delay plus, parameter on or off. No, we want change, for instance, either the time, feedback, the effect level. You can do all of this, so you could set up kind of different delay settings. So on our min, we want 18. On our max, perhaps we want something like 100. for a more ambient tone, then you would get this kind of thing. So at the moment we're on the reverse, so, and then that should be changing, I think. Why does that say mono there? That's not right. So the effect level, is that what's changing? Effect level 100 here. And then the lower setting here, I think, effect level 60. So that's pretty handy. Something that I think might be interesting to folks, again, on this kind of authenticity thing is, say you've got a choice of amps, so this might also be interesting to you. You've got Natural, Boutique, Supreme, Maximum, Juggernaut, X-Crunch, X-High Gain, X-Modded, JC120, Twin Combo, Deluxe Combo, Tweed Combo, Diamond Amp, Brit Stack, Recti Stack, Match Combo, BG Combo, Orange Stack, Bogner Uber Metal. So not tons of choices, but quite a lot. The cool thing is, so say you went into the Diamond amp, so this is a Vox. Well, there's two things I want to say about this. So first of all, you got like settings such as, so on the front you got gain and level, then you got bass, middle and treble. Now to some extent these don't really represent what would be on a real Vox amp, so you'd expect really to see the cut there. So in terms of being authentic and making changes that you recognize in the real world, it's a bit more difficult on the Boss device than some other devices. One of the cool things, although you've got less amps than on comparative devices, you've also got this gain switch, which can just kind of give you like a hot rodded Vox. Hold on, let me turn that off. I'm just switching types, aren't I? So say that was your Vox tone. Let me just bypass this as well. You've got this kind of gain switch, so you could have a higher gain Vox or lower gain or mid. That could give you kind of 3 settings. Depending if you wanted a lower gain or higher gain. For that, for instance, I might put in the kind of possibly slightly negative column, you know, that the choices of amps and then the parameters shown on screen don't necessarily line up in some ways with what's on the real amps. Then another thing that I think you should know about, this speaker type thing. So some of the settings here are cool, but mic types, you got 57, 421, condenser, or flat. I don't know, maybe that might be one that you ended up using more, but I think it's possibly fair to say that the speaker element of it is a little bit more limited compared to some modelers, and certainly I'd say the IR kind of aspect of it is probably not quite up to scratch. So this is one of my own IRs, quite bass heavy. Let's go back to the original speaker. at least think that sounds better than the IR that I put in. So maybe you just trust that the inbuilt IRs are sufficiently decent, because that to me, you know, is certainly a very usable tone. If I kick on the Tube Screamer now, take that gain switch back down to middle. This noise suppressor after the amp thing is, to me, not where I would put it personally. I feel like that's a little bit interfering. I generally put it earlier in the chain, I think. So somewhere like over here, that to me. OD1 probably shaves off quite a lot of low end anyway. In terms, I'm going to probably do more in-depth videos about what's available in terms of each of the blocks and stuff, but you've got a decent amount of choices of drives. You can see clearly you've got boost, OD, XOD, dist, X-dist, metal, fuzz, and on each of those there's a few options. So for instance, on OD natural, you've got natural OD, warm OD, blues OD, OD1, crunch, tube screamer, turbo overdrive, and then a clon. But those are things that I think I would want to know about how this stuff works. I think that assign settings thing is quite powerful really, but could take a while to set up. You know, there's a lot of depth in the control function. What could we do with this? So we can change up what's available on our main kind of screen. So bank up or down can do a few bits and pieces. So you could have a loop control there all the time. Here. Loop control, if we put in a looper, so go to effects, here. Now if I go back to this page here, you see there's loop control here. Oh, here's another thing I really like about this. If I mute that or turn that off, maybe I turn my amp drive down. Effects, amp, gain, effects. Oh, I've still got a drive on, bypass. Here, right, we've got loop control at the top. These prompts on the screen are nice and readable and quite big. But yeah, just a little overview of some of the things that I think you should know about the Boss GX100. Most of it positive, a few little kind of idiosyncrasies that may or may not interest you, you know, like in terms of the amp modeling, the things that are shown on your amp or the controls that are on there do not necessarily look a huge amount like what is on the real amp. You've got generic bass, middle, treble presence. You know, I want to know that sort of thing if someone was going to show me it. So, but overall, I think my experience with the Boss GX100 so far has been quite positive. There's some elements of it which I think are really powerful, like being able to just switch the type of these. That kind of stuff I think is quite cool. So interesting to see this from Boss, and I think this for me would be the modeler from Boss that I would buy if I was going to go down the Boss route, just because the GT1000 core and the GT1000 are not quite as tweakable as this, and I don't think the user interface is quite as friendly as this. And for me, that kind of does matter when it comes to actually using the gear. Thank you for stopping by. If you wanted to like and subscribe, you could. I bought this, of course. No one's paying me to make this video. So if you could let me know that this was useful or not, that would be appreciated. I'll catch you in another video soon. Cheers.